All right, welcome back. Now, notice this form looks very much like the general form for a circle, but this is not a circle. This is actually the general form for an ellipse. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the same technique that we used for dealing with the general equation of a circle, and as we did, let me repeat myself. Let me say that again. So we're going to use the same techniques that we used when we were transforming from general form of a circle to the standard form for the equation of a circle. So what we're going to do is we're going to, again, use completing the square, right? So we're going to group the y's and the x's together. So in this case here, we're going to write this as 3x squared plus 6x, and then we're going to plus, right? We're going to leave an opening there for our constant here, plus 7y squared minus 28y plus here. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides, and so that's going to give me negative 10 on the other side. Now, remember, whatever I add here, I also have to add here. So whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. Okay? So, here I'm going to divide by 2 and square it. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. Negative 28 divided by 2 is 14. 14 squared is what? 225 minus, well, let's do it this way. So, $196. Now, since I'm going to add a 9 here, and I'm going to add 196 here, I'm going to have to add the same amounts on the other side. So this is going to give me what? It's going to give me 205. So I'm going to add 205 to this side here. So since I'm adding 205 to the left, I'm going to add 205 to the right. Okay? So let me just make sure I did this right. So that's yeah, 196. Yep. 196. So that's 205. Yeah, that's right. So it'll give me 195 on that side. So now this will give me what? Oh, I made a huge mistake. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't catch that. I can't have a leading coefficient of, I have to have a leading coefficient of 1. So I just made a boo-boo. Okay, so that's not going to be 1. Okay, so let's start over because that's not going to work out. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to have to factor out a 3. So I'm going to have to factor out a 3 first before I do this. So if I factor out a 3 first, this is going to become 1. This is going to become 2. Now, it may not change the result, but it can, and it most likely will mess things up if you don't. Again, remember, you cannot do completing the square if you have something other than a 1 for the leading coefficient. So I just factored out a 3. Now this is what I have left over here. Here I'm going to factor out the 7, which means this is going to be 4. Okay? Okay, now, let's complete the square. Now, this is going to be what? This is going to be 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. This is going to be 1. This is going to be negative 4 divided by 2, which is negative 2. 2 squared is 4. Okay, now I'm ready to add to the other side. Now, here's the thing. Be careful because I still have this factor of 3 out of here. So this is actually not, I'm not going to add 1 over here, but this is 1 times 3. Okay? And this is not 4, but I'm going to do 7 times 4. So I'm going to add 28, and I'm going to add 3 over here. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is, now I can do this, the completing of the square. So this is going to be 3 times. Now this becomes what? X plus 1 quantity squared. And this becomes 7 times what? Y minus, don't forget, minus 2 quantity squared is equal to, now this gives me 21. All right. Now we're ready to rock and roll. Now I can just divide everything by 21 because this has to be a 1. And now look, 3 is a factor of 21. 7 is also a factor of 21. So if I divide out, I get x plus 1 quantity squared over 7 plus y quantity, or excuse me, y minus 2 quantity 3 over 3 equals 1. And now I'm done. Okay, so I've got my equation in standard form. And so now let's describe, let's specify the different parts, right? So now where is the center? Okay, so let's write it out. So center is going to be at what? Negative 1, because this is positive. So it's negative 1, comma 2. Now, is this, is the major axis horizontal or vertical? In this case, it's going to be horizontal because the larger number is above, or excuse me, below the x variable. Okay, so now what is a? Now in this case here, a is equal to the square root of 7 and b is equal to the square root of 3. Okay, so sometimes your a and b are not going to be nice whole numbers. Okay, okay, so that means what? What's our c? C is going to be what? Well, c squared equals a squared minus b squared. So what is a squared? That's 7. 7 minus 3 is 4, right? So 7 minus 3 is 4. So this is going to give us 4. So c is going to be what? 2. Okay, so now we've got the information we need for the rest of the information. So our foci, that's where our c value comes in, 2. And it's horizontal, which means we're going to go in the horizontal direction. This is going to stay the same, right? Your y value stays the same, but we're going to add and subtract to your x value. So that means this is going to be what? Negative 1 plus and minus 2. So negative 1 plus 2 is 1. So it's going to be 1 comma 2. And the other one is going to be what? -3, comma 2. Okay. Now, what about the vertices of the major axis? Okay, so we're going to vertices. So the major axis vertices are going to be what? It's going to be adding this again to the x value. So it's going to be what? It's going to be -1 minus the square root of 7, comma 2. And it's going to be -1 plus, not 3. Sorry, square root of 7, comma 2. All right, now what about the minor axis endpoints? Okay. Okay, so now here's the thing. The minor axis is vertical, right? So that means the x value stays the same, y value has changed. Now b is square root of 3. So this is going to be -1, and it's going to be 2 minus the square root of 3, and then the other endpoint is going to be -1, comma 2 plus the square root of 3. All right, that's it. Not bad.